welcome to episode 39 of Prog Review, and in this episode we're doing another viewer requested review, and it's going to be, well, you already know because you've read the description. I don't know why I bother doing these introductions, but hey, we'll keep the formality because, you know, it makes me look a little bit professional. Anyway, yeah, we're looking at Pink Floyd's Atom Heart Mother. Yeah, so there you go. It's the fifth studio album from the band. It was released 10th of October 1970 in the UK, and it's the one with the cow on the front. Dear old Lulabelle. And well, what can you say about it? It's a funny old record because you're beginning to see the embryonic beginnings of the Floyd that we all know and love. You know, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, the band were, you know, stumbling around, mainly with Syd Barrett, you know, providing a lot of the inspiration and the move, you know, the forward momentum. And this one, you know, and I always find that, you know, again, a lot of people are going to go, no, Darren, you're wrong, but between Piper and the Gates of Dawn and Medal, the band weren't very good players. I always got the feeling that they were like scrabbling around, and that's the same with this record, and it's none more apparent with the, you know, with the title track, where, you know, what you see is the band kind of going a lot, following what a lot of other rock bands were doing at the time by using orchestra. But whereas other bands used orchestra as the backing, in this instance Floyd used the orchestra to play all the melody parts, and they were the backing musicians. So it was quite an interesting role reversal, and it always kind of said to me that they weren't very good players, you know. And is this really a Pink Floyd album? I mean, again, I'm not going to break down the title track because we all know what it is. We all know how it repeats themes over and over, and there are some good bits and there are some not so good bits. But yeah, I mean, it really is Ron Geeson's project, isn't it, really? Because without that orchestra and without the melody and the vocals and the choruses that you get with his input, there wouldn't be much of a record. You know, if you just faded out them, there'd just be the Floyd jamming along and a little bit of bass guitar here and there and the odd electric guitar flourish. So yeah, but that's not to say it isn't good music. I quite like the opening piece, the suite, if you would. I always remember hearing it as a young lad and being, you know, quite entranced by it because it, you know, it was curious, and it still is quite curious. It's an unusual progressive piece because you have rock influences and you have a classical influence, and you have this great big choral piece in the middle, and it is atmospheric in places. I'm going to link to a video that I've got on my own blog. I can't host it here because it's copyright to the BBC, I think. But this a section of Atom Heart Mother was used in this nature documentary to show what happens when a nest of blue tits basically gets attacked, and they use this music as the backing music, and it's really atmospheric. So I'm going to include a link in the description so you can have a look at that and see what you think. It's a flawed piece. It goes on too long. A lot of the playing from the Floyd is a little bit, you know, iffy. It'd be interesting if they got rid of them and just had a completely orchestral version. I'd like to hear that. I think that'd be pretty good. Have a soft spot for the bass playing of Roger Waters. You know, his work on the upper registers on the bass always bring a smile to my face. But, you know, I think, you know, the embarrassment of the band towards this record is justified because this is young men. You know, this is the fire of youth burning, and probably making, you know, some ill-advised artistic judgments. You know, they look back on it with embarrassment now. Well, Roger Waters does anyway. But it's still well worth checking out. Now, if we'd have flipped the album over, you have the big slab of music on one side, and on the other side you have a quartet of songs to get through. Now, I actually used to have the album of this. I actually bought it a long time ago, and it was the quad version, and I was going to show it to you. So I went to my LP collection, and it wasn't there, and I thought, oh, what have I done with it? And then I realised I'd sold it to buy the Oh By The Way box set that I'd shown you previously. So there you go. But yeah, I did have it on quad, and yeah, that was it. That's the story. I bought it a long time ago when I was doing record collecting as a younger man. But anyway, so we flipped the record over, and we have got a song by Roger Waters, because I mean, it's more like a solo gig, you know, a bit like Gumma. It's a song called If, and it's a nice little song, very twee. Again, it's youth. You can hear it in its sentiment, and again, when I was a younger lad, I thought it was the epitome of good songwriting. Now, I'm not so sure. You know, like I say, I think some of the lyrics are a little bit iffy, and the music itself is, you know, not that strong. And then we come to Summer of '68, which is Richard Wright's contribution. Now, I quite like this because it is kind of a testament of the time. There's a bit of, you know, swinging '60s magic in there, and you also, when you hear his vocals, and there's some phrasing in there that kind of is like a portent of things to come with Dark Side of the Moon. You know, you can kind of hear his influence in the band. So I've had a soft spot for Summer '68. And then comes probably, in my humble opinion, the best song on the album, which is Fat Old Son by David Gilmour. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a wonderful, evocative piece of music. It's just a great lyric, a lovely acoustic piece, and again, it's very English, very pastoral, just transports you to a summer evening, looking at the sun, sitting in a cornfield. You know, it's one of those kind of pieces. And I had the joy to actually see Gilmour play this live at the Royal Festival Hall when he was performing there in 2001? 2001? Can't remember. It was a long time ago. But it's a wonderful piece, and the guitar solo at the end. You begin to see, you know, him develop as a guitarist, and it's well worth, you know, listening to that. And then we come to the final part of the album, Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast, which, let's be honest now, it's a bit of puff. It's just a bit of filler. Yeah, it's funny the first time you hear it. It's all rather amusing, and it's all, you know, jolly good fun. But on closer inspection, you get the feeling that they had 10 or so minutes left to fill. And so they did this, and it's them, you know, riffing. I think you enjoy this with a little bit of help, but I wouldn't know about things like that. So there we have it. It's an interesting record. It's not their best record, obviously, but it shows the band at an embryonic stage. They're in the transitionary period between the swinging 60s and the psychedelia and the far out space rock that they, you know, ploughed their furrow with Saucer Full of Secrets and, you know, the stuff you hear on Gumma, and, you know, what's to come with Meddle and Echoes, and then, you know, Dark Side of the Moon, etc. So of course it's well worth exploring. But how would I rate it? I mean, it's a classic album. It's a classic album. It's got a cow on the cover. So, I mean, I've got, even though it's not the best record in the world, and it's not, you know, perfect, I have to, you know, the laws of prog dictate that I have to give this 5 Lulabells out of 5. That's 5 Lulabells out of 5. I have no other option, because every fan of prog rock has to hear this album once in a while, and they have to bow before its majesty, because they were trying to do something different and new and progressive with it. Of course, you know, it wasn't a total success, but you know, it's good fun, and it's got a cow on the cover. My name has been Darren Ock, and I have been babbling on about Atom Heart Mother by Pink Floyd. And you have come to the end of this journey. We've held our hands together, and we march forward into the sunset, you know, singing in our hearts the immortal phrase, prog on.